Hello and welcome back. We are going to be talking about functions. We are going to expand upon our last video and talk about a more in-depth case of functions. So in this function we want to determine a palindrome. First we need to know what a palindrome is. It's a word, a phrase, or a sequence that reads the same backwards and forwards. E.g. Madam or Mrs. Run. So our task is to create an algorithm to determine if a string is a palindrome. For our palindrome algorithm, we are going to not allow multiple words, as this will simplify the algorithm. We also won't distinguish between upper and lower case. They are different words, i.e. race car, all lowercase is a palindrome, but race car with uppercase characters is not a palindrome. So the things we need to think about when we create our palindrome function. So a string that we're going to be passing into this function is just a sequence of characters. Let's say we pass in race car. Okay, that is the string. So we want to progress from the first character of the string to the last character of the string. What are we going to do? We're going to compare the first character with the last character. We're going to move in towards the center on both ends. So then we're going to compare the second character with the second last character. If they are the same, we're going to move in again, check, move in again, check. And once we determine we are in the center of the word, or past the center, we can stop. We know our word is a palindrome. So let's go to our IDE. I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to click on Visual Studio here, and I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to start with an empty project. Click Next. My project will be Check Pal. I'm going to set it in the directory that I want it to go in. So you can do this however you like, but I'm going to put it in my projects directory on my OneDrive account. I'm going to select that folder, OneDrive, and click Create. Now, I have an empty project, so I want to create a program. I'm going to add new item, select C++. I'm just going to call it main. And I'm not going to call it a C++ class, I'm going to call it a file. So this is my main program. I'm going to add, and I have already written this to save time, so I will just copy the source code here that I've written, and paste it in, and then we'll discuss it. So I have my include and my namespace standard, and I have my initial comment. Okay, this is a function header. So I declare the name, the description, what the inputs are, what my output is in this case, and any notes, and I got to spell that correctly, notes or assumptions. So the determination of the palindrome is case sensitive. So here is my function. It has the return type, It has the name. Remember, we're always going to be a action. So is this string a palindrome? We're going to pass in a string. So that's whatever word we have. And I should also include that this function does not work with embedded spaces. You always want to give the reader who wants to use this function an idea of what this function is doing. So we pass in a string and we're going to return a Boolean value, whether the string is a palindrome or not. So there are many ways to skin a cat. This is just one way. This is the way I've decided to do it. I create a variable called isPal. This is my variable that will determine if the string is a palindrome or not. I'm going to assume truth, that every string comes in as a palindrome. I'm going to be using a while loop in this function. So I'm going to start at the initial character and go to the last character. So I'm going to set an I value to 0, and my j value will be the length of the string minus 1. Remember, we have to subtract 1 from the length because our string goes from 0 to length minus 1. The index of the string, that is. So while I is less than or equal to j, so while we have not crossed the center, and for efficiency's sake, while we are still a palindrome, whenever we determine that we're not a palindrome, there's no point in going on further. So if the first character and the last character are not the same, why do any more? We could just get out. Well, I start with truth. So I check the first character with the last character. If they're not the same, I set isPal to false, which means I'm going to drop out of this loop right away. I'm not going to go anymore. Otherwise, increment my I, decrement my j, and finally return is palindrome. So palindrome is going to be assigned to true initially. It will be set to false as soon as we determine we don't have a palindrome. Our main program, down here, we create a variable called string, and I'm going to do while, have a do loop. I'm going to enter a string, or press X to exit. I'll read in my string. I determine if the string is a palindrome, and I store the value in isPal. Now remember, this isPal here is not the same as this isPal up here. They are distinct. The scoping is different. The scope of this isPal is only in main. The scope of this isPal is only in the function called isPalindrome. We call the string, we call isPalindrome and pass the string. We're going to do the analysis and we're going to return the value in isPal. So if it is a palindrome, print out is the palindrome. Otherwise, print out it is not a palindrome. So let's see this in action. I'm going to click run here. And I'm going to enter race car. Race car. Race car is a palindrome. Alright, I'm going to click X now. And I'm going to set a breakpoint right here. So before I call isPal, I'm going to stop. Run, enter race car. I hit my breakpoint. I can see down here my string is race car. Now if I step into, I go into my function. Now I could step over, doesn't matter. So I'm going to step over, set isPal to true, set my I, set my J. So down here we can see I is 0, J is 6, race car is 7 characters. Now, while I haven't crossed the center of the string, I just check if it's a palindrome. As soon as I've reached the center or is palindrome is set to false, meaning the characters are not the same, I exit right away or continue. Now my isPal, let me step one more time and let's see what my isPal is set to true. So let me continue on here. I'm just going to continue. There must be continue here somewhere. I'm just going to start over. Let's just restart this. Okay, now we'll enter a string. A, just nonsensical. This, A. Okay? So now the first two characters will match, but the T will not match with the S. So we're definitely not a palindrome. I'm going to step into. I'm going to assume we are a palindrome. Set my I and my J value. And the first character is going to be okay. But as we increment I and decrement J, we can see that the string, the second character of the string, is not the same as the length, same character as in length minus 1. So, as we step, now this if statement is going to be true, is palindrome or isPal we set to false. We will exit right away now. And isPal, we look at what that is, it's the false. And the string is not a palindrome. So this will conclude the second video on functions.